Formative speech. Before I get started, I'd like to show you a short clip of a video just to get us started on the topic. It shows two police officers arguing with a guy on the sidewalk. You're going to find out why.
Am I legally required to present that right now?
Yes. This is going to go two ways. You want to put an hardball here on the side of the road? Or we can just stitch you in.
I haven't broken any law. No offense.
Why wouldn't you want to present your ID?
Because I'm violating my privacy. Per the law, I'm not being detained. I have not broken any law. I do not need to produce identification. So I'm going to leave the scene in a peaceful manner. I wish you guys a good day.
Okay, so the freedoms of speech, press, and privacy are rights that we possess as U.S. citizens under the United States Constitution, which was created on September 17, 1787, and ratified on June 21, 1788. It is being held in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. The first 10 amendments of the Constitution came to be known as the Bill of Rights. And these Bill of Rights, I'm going to break them down into three basic groups so you can understand them. The first group consists of your rights in society. The second group consists of your rights in a court of law. And your the third group consists of your implied rights that you may have not known that you had, but you actually did. So starting off with your rights and your individual rights in society, starting with the First Amendment, you have the right to free speech, free press, free religion, to assembly, and the ability to address your government concerning grievances. And what that means is pretty much you can put the government on check if you have any sort of necessities that you're granted under your rights that aren't being met by them. The Second Amendment grants you the right to bear arms. Now, what a lot of people don't know about the Second Amendment is that it also grants you the right to form a citizen militia. The Third Amendment restricts against enforced quartering of soldiers at your private home. And that wasn't really a big issue today. It's more of an issue in revolutionary times when they were doing that. And your Fourth Amendment restricts unreasonable searches and seizures, which we saw in the video was a huge conflict because the cop was trying to look at his ID and he didn't even commit a crime. He was just walking along the sidewalk, minding his business, and documenting public information. That's legal. So now that I informed you about your basic individual rights in society, I'm going to talk a little bit about your rights in court, starting with those granted by the Fifth Amendment. So those are the rights to due process and just compensation. And if you don't know what just compensation is, it refers to the government being able to use private property for public usage, typically in the event of an emergency. But because of just compensation, they have to give the private owners just compensation for using their property. It also restricts against double jeopardy and self-incrimination. And double jeopardy is pretty much that you go on trial for court, and if you're acquitted of all those charges, you can't be brought on trial later on for that same crime. Self-incrimination is pretty much that when a police officer arrests you for committing a crime or for suspected committing a crime, he has to inform you that you have the right to remain silent, so that way you know that you don't have to comply in any questions he asks that would incriminate you in the crime he's trying to figure out. The Sixth Amendment grants you the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury, to be informed of your charges so you can't just be brought on trial and not be told what you're being tried for, and to confront your witnesses and compel witnesses to appear in court, and to assistance of counsel. The Seventh Amendment grants you a right to a jury trial in federal civil cases dealing with claims over $20, and it prohibits judges from overruling facts found by juries in federal civil cases. Your Eighth Amendment restricts against excessive bails or fines, and against unreasonable or unusual punishment. And that's actually a big issue when it comes to the death penalty, because according to our rights, you shouldn't be killed just for committing a crime. Now that I talked to you about your rights in court, I'm going to communicate to you about your implied rights that you may have not known you had, but you did anyway. Starting with the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment mentions that the rights not mentioned in the Bill of Rights are still protected, such as privacy rights, which didn't become a huge issue until the latter 20th century because of technological advances. And the 10th Amendment is very important. It says that power is not granted to the government by the Constitution, nor prohibited to the states are reserved to the states and to the people. And that's a big issue because separation of powers is a huge ideal in the United States Constitution, and that establishes powers to the states and to local governments. Now that I communicated to you about your implied rights, I'm going to wrap up this presentation. So those are my sources that I use. And you should have the basic understanding of your rights now as I've communicated to you, so that way you can enforce them more and not let cops like that bully you around. And a lot of people tend to downsize our country nowadays because they feel we're kind of heading towards a kind of police day with all the new military vehicles that are going throughout local communities that we necessarily don't think they should have them. But we can't deny the rights that our forefathers granted to us to be able to use and stop when this kind of abusive power is being displayed to us. So we should, now that you know about your rights, you should be able to assert them in society and not just be a guy on the sidewalk getting abused by a police officer verbally, obviously, and then just kind of let it happen because he's a police officer. He should know what he's doing, but in reality, you should know as well. That's my presentation.